You know, we mean business when we bring out the round table.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to have been living under a rock if you have not heard the outcry from women begging the world to take menopause seriously. Celebrities like Michelle Obama, Oprah Winfrey, Drew Barrymore, Halle Berry are all speaking out about it. And our next three guests are taking action by educating women and lobbying for change.
So they say that menopause is inevitable, but suffering through it is not. You don't have to do it, all right? The M Factor, Shredding the Silence on Menopause. The author, Pix 11 family member, friend of ours, Tamsen Fadal, board-certified OBGYN menopause specialist and author of the new Menopause Documentary, Claire Haver, and of course, friend of the show, Dr. Michelle Henry, board-certified dermatologist and clinical instructor of dermatology. They're joining us this morning for a very important roundtable discussion. Ladies, welcome, and thank you for sharing your time with us.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah.
Dr. Haver, we're going to start with you.
Okay.
You have amassed more than 4 million followers on your social media platforms. You have a message that has obviously resonated with many, many people. So why do you think that is?
I think that this generation going through menopause now, which is Gen X or maybe later millennials, are not willing to accept the status quo. They're looking at not only the menopause experience, but the overall health in the last 30 years of life of their mothers, their aunts. And they're like, there's something else out there for me, and I'm not willing to suffer. I want better.
I want better. And it's interesting because I was thinking about this. I'm sure people who turn on the television say, oh my God, there are 5 broads talking about menopause. Here we go.
Taboo, taboo, taboo.
But we mentioned you're either going through it or you know someone who has gone through it, and the things that happen to us vary. So can you touch on that a little bit, please?
So the average age of menopause is 51, but normal is still 45 to 55. Perimenopause, which is the transition from a normal, healthy ovulating woman to the end of her periods, is about 7 to 10 years. So we're spending the last, 30, 40 years of our life somewhere in this journey. And as it turns out, what we've learned is menopause is estrogen receptors, progesterone, testosterone receptors everywhere in our body. So it's not just hot flashes in the end of your periods. It's a lot more than that.
Go through them real quick.
Yes,
for
please.
example.
Oh, let's see.
I'm
We'll
getting
start
a
at the
hot
top
flash
and
right
work
now
our way
talking about
down,
this.
shall
I know.
we? So, brain fog, mental health changes, palpitations, asthma, skin changes, which here's our expert here. Genital urinary changes, sexual changes, function changes, bone, muscle, pain, etc.
I had never heard asthma.
I feel like every time we have this conversation, I hear something new, but it's important. And another person at our table who's spreading the good word, Ms. Tamsen, with over more than 3 million followers on her socials. You have pioneered this movement that we've all watched take off, and you've linked up with women like this. And you have said, and it's been said, that by 2025, 1 billion women, billion with a B, are going to be in menopause. Okay, that is a lot.
Staggering.
Very staggering statistics. So all the work that you've done, that you've devoted yourself to, what is the number one thing that you hope that women can learn and know about menopause?
I think women, I want them to know they're not alone. I want them to know we've created a community. We've created a menoverse, a menoverse of doctors and experts and advocates to make sure that they know that they're not alone in this, because that's what happens oftentimes. And Dr. Haver knows this, Dr. Henry knows this, that women come in, they don't know what they're dealing with. There's an array of symptoms. We're talking, 34 plus symptoms of menopause that are strange symptoms, and they think something's wrong with them, and that is not the case. And so it's really all about shattering that silence and making sure they also know once we do that, there are answers for them and solutions.
And some of those answers are in Dr. Henry's office, because you see one of the symptoms, strange things are happening to my skin. I wonder if you could talk to us about what you see and how you handle that with your patients.
So estrogen is critically important to our skin's health. It's youthfulness, it's resilience. We have receptors throughout all of our skin, and they're actually more concentrated on the face. So as we start to get estrogen depleted, not only are we losing estrogen, but we're also losing those receptors. So we see lots of changes. So in the perimenopausal period, we start to see acne. That's probably one of the first things I see.
Not more acne.
I know, like as if going through puberty wasn't enough.
Yeah, it's that acne, those changes. And I see women who didn't have teenage acne that are now having this acne. They're so confused. They're stressed. They're seeing the dryness. Then when we hit menopause, that first 5 years, we see a precipitous decline in our collagen. We're seeing 30% of our collagen we're losing in the first 5 years, and then 2% each additional year. So what happens? We start to see fine lines and wrinkles. We start to see that sagginess. Our necks start to sag. We start to see now our eyes are puffy because we don't have that thick skin protecting those bags. We're starting to see thinning, bruising of the skin. Sure. We're more sensitive. Our pH of our skin actually changes. It becomes less acidic, and that acidity is important to protect us from bacteria. So now we're more at risk for infections. So the list goes on and on and on and on, but our skin is suffering. So we need to make sure we're focusing on that.
That's why it used to take 2 minutes, remember, in your 20s to get ready for bed, and now it takes like 20 minutes.
It's 20 step routine.
You've got to moisturize everything. And you're going to find
my
my
fiance is literally like, are you getting ready for bed? I can watch the next inning of the ball game because you're going to be in there for
I'll see you in 20. It is so true. And, you know, and it brings up an interesting point because, Dr. Haber, you can speak to this. I just always think to my mom, who is in her 60s. Mom, I'm sorry, I'm not going to say exactly how old, but that's who I have this conversation with every day. And she's like, oh, today I'm dealing with this, today I'm dealing with that. And I don't think she even realizes that this all could be tied back to menopause. So is that a common case where women are like experiencing things and they're like, well, what is this? It can't be menopause because that's hot flashes. And, you know, you said there's more than 34 symptoms.
So one of the big problems is that we're not doing much clinically relevant education around menopause to our clinicians. I maybe got an hour in medical school, and in my OB/GYN residency, I think I had 6 hours in a 4-year curriculum.
1 hour
1 hour
of menopause.
So many reasons for that.
Sure.
And that is one of the things I'm trying to advocate for, is that every clinician who touches a female has some mandatory menopause training, education as to, we're not just little men with breasts and uteruses, right? We have different skin, we have, our hearts age differently, our bones age differently, and we need to be able to have all clinicians recognize that so that we end up healthier in the long run.
Because every woman will go through it.
Yes, it's
So be
not
prepared.
optional.
Tamsen, you have held up this mantle for a very long time. You're one of the leading voices on menopause. What is truly going to cause a paradigm shift? I see it and I feel it already, but I know that you are really leading the charge.
Yeah, I think we have to continue spreading this message, and it's going to take all of us. You know, we can't do it with one person. It's going to take all of us. You know, it's about community. It's about shattering the silence. About not feeling shame. You know, when I first had my, an incident, and I realized I was in menopause. I found out later. I was sitting at this desk and had to leave the anchor desk because I had heart palpitations and anxiety and sweating and hot flash. And so I think not feeling that shame, because I felt that shame, and it was very scary, and I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't know what was going on. So we've got to educate women, and then we've got to get them in to see providers that actually know what they're doing and can talk to them about this and not dismiss them. Women cannot be dismissed when they walk into a doctor's office.
That's right.
Share with us a quick teaser before we let you guys go about the M factor.
Yes, I've been working for years on a documentary, which many incredible doctors are a part of, and it's called the M Factor, Shattering the Silence on Menopause, because that's what we really need to do. We need to shatter that silence.
Fantastic.
So stay tuned for that.
Thank you all so much for being a part of this conversation.
Good to see you both.
Thank you.
We're putting an ellipses on this because there's so much more to discuss.
To be continued.
That's
Exactly.
right. For more resources, information on menopause, go to We've Got a Lot, TamsenFadal.com. Make sure to pick up a copy of The New Menopause by Dr. Mary Claire Haber, wherever books are sold. And you can follow Dr. Michelle Henry, or go see her, card-carrying member, whenever you get a chance. They're all fantastic.
They're also all on Instagram, of course.
That's right.
Must-see content.